Elle va pour moi 5 milliards de visions.
What if I told you there's a man in Monaco whose name carries more weight than a royal title? A man who walks through the marble halls of luxury, yet rules them in silence, without a crown, without a throne, and without permission. In the world's most exclusive kingdom, where every inch of land costs a fortune and every face hides a story, one figure stands above them all. His presence commands respect. His empire shapes the skyline. And his influence? It stretches far beyond the borders of Monaco's glittering shores. They call him Zeus, a man who turned ambition into art and power into legacy. To the public, he's a symbol of wealth. But to those who truly know, he's something more, a shadow king shaping the destiny of Monaco itself. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what you're about to see will change how you think about power, royalty, and the man who outshines them both. This is the untold story of Zeus, and how one billionaire quietly became Monaco's most powerful legend. Power in Monaco isn't measured by titles, it's measured by who answers your call. And when Zeus calls, the world listens. His phone list reads like a living museum of influence: princes, oil magnates, tech founders, and art tycoons. Yet he never shouts about his connections. He builds them in silence, one private handshake at a time. In a city where every introduction is a transaction, Zeus turned networking into an art form. You won't see him hosting loud parties or chasing attention. Instead, he moves through Monaco like a quiet current, present but untouchable. Every dinner at Hotel de Paris becomes a summit of strategy. Every yacht gathering doubles as a boardroom under the stars. Those who've met him say he doesn't speak much, but when he does, deals worth millions are decided before dessert arrives. His strength isn't in how many people he knows, it's in who owes him a favor. He's the kind of man who can rearrange a business empire or shift a market trend with a single call, not because he demands it, but because people want to be part of his orbit. In Monaco's delicate social ecosystem, where appearance and alliance intertwine, Zeus built his network like a chessboard. Every connection deliberate, every move calculated 3 steps ahead. But what makes his circle extraordinary is not its wealth, but its loyalty. His closest allies come from wildly different worlds: Silicon Valley visionaries, Middle Eastern investors, European royalty, and even film icons seeking privacy away from the spotlight. Together, they form what insiders call the Golden Circle, a private alliance that quietly influences everything from art auctions to charity galas to high-stakes investments that shape global luxury markets. And while most billionaires spend decades fighting for recognition, Zeus already has what they crave: respect. The kind that can't be bought or borrowed. Because in Monaco, true power doesn't come from owning the spotlight. It comes from knowing when to stand in the shadows. The question is, how long can a man so powerful stay invisible when even Monaco's royals have started orbiting around his light? From the terraces of Monaco's highest penthouses, the view feels almost unreal. The sea glows like liquid sapphire, the city lights shimmer below, and somewhere in that golden horizon lies the empire of a man who rules without a crown. Zeus doesn't command from a palace, he commands from the sky. His home isn't a castle, but a masterpiece of glass and marble perched high above Monte Carlo, where decisions worth billions are made between sunrise and champagne. In a land built by royalty, Zeus built his own version of nobility, one forged not by heritage, but by creation. Every inch of his world reflects precision. The penthouse isn't merely a residence, it's a statement. Panoramic windows overlooking the harbor, a private elevator descending directly to his yacht, and an art collection that rivals museums. When the Mediterranean breeze flows through his balcony, it feels less like a home and more like a throne above the sea. But his kingdom extends far beyond the walls of luxury. His real territory is invisible, woven into Monaco's skyline, hidden in offshore holdings, and whispered about in private clubs. From La Votto's oceanfront towers to the historic streets near Casino Square, traces of Zeus's ownership quietly shape the very outline of the principality. His empire doesn't bear his name, it bears his signature: elegant, minimal, untouchable. And unlike those who flaunt their fortunes, Zeus mastered the art of invisibility. His vehicles glide through the city tinted and unmarked, his staff trained to vanish into the background. Even his arrival at grand events is an illusion. 1 minute, he's nowhere. The next, he's the center of every lens. People say he prefers being unseen because true power doesn't need to be announced. It only needs to be felt. Monaco's royals have the palace, but Zeus? He has the skyline, a new kind of crown made not of gold, but of glass and ambition. Yet as night falls and the city's lights bow beneath his window, one question lingers quietly in the air. How long can a kingdom without a throne stay hidden from those who still believe they rule it? Beneath Monaco's glittering skyline lies a web so intricate that even its royals can't fully see it. A silent network of ownership, control, and quiet influence. It doesn't sparkle like diamonds, but it's far more valuable. This is Zeus's true empire. Hidden in plain sight, built not with noise, but with mastery. To outsiders, his fortune looks like a collection of extravagant assets. Yachts, villas, penthouses, art. But to those who understand power, each of these pieces is a move on a chessboard. A holding company here, a trust fund there, a silent stake in a global brand. Every investment connects to another, forming an invisible structure that weaves through real estate, art, technology, and even renewable energy ventures. It's not just wealth, it's architecture. Unlike typical billionaires who diversify to protect their money, Zeus diversifies to protect his anonymity. Each property purchased through layered corporations, each foundation directed by people he trusts completely. In Monaco's discreet financial ecosystem, where privacy is a luxury even money can't always buy, Zeus mastered the art of presence without exposure. His empire breathes, earns, and grows, but rarely speaks his name. He doesn't chase headlines, he writes them from behind the curtain. When a record-breaking penthouse sells, when an art piece mysteriously reappears at auction, or when a luxury tech startup receives a sudden wave of funding, insiders know to look for Zeus's shadow somewhere in the mix. The man behind the empire doesn't move markets by force, he moves them by suggestion. It's a structure so complex that even if one branch fell, the rest would stand untouched, designed like an organism rather than a business. Those who've tried to trace it describe it as a maze with no center, because the empire isn't just about ownership, it's about control without visibility. And as whispers grow that some royal advisors are quietly studying the patterns of this unseen network, one truth becomes clear. Monaco may sparkle above ground, but beneath it, Zeus has already written the blueprint for a kingdom no crown can ever rule. In Monaco, luxury isn't decoration, it's communication. Every diamond watch, every limited edition car, every gesture tells a story about who truly holds influence. And among those who speak this silent language, no one speaks it more fluently than Zeus. He doesn't wear logos or shout wealth, he curates it. His lifestyle isn't about showing off, it's about setting a tone. The moment his jet lands at Nice, an entire ecosystem moves in quiet synchronization. Chauffeurs who already know the route, chefs who prepare his favorite meal without asking, and staff who understand that discretion is the highest form of loyalty. Luxury, for Zeus, isn't about possession, it's about precision. At the Monaco Yacht Show, where billionaires parade floating palaces, Zeus's yacht is always the exception. Sleek, unbranded, and breathtakingly minimalist. A design so refined that architects whisper its name like a secret. Inside, there's no gold excess, no crystal chandeliers, just balance, silence, and power. Because real luxury, in Zeus's world, doesn't beg for attention, it commands it without a word. Even his vehicles, from custom Rolls-Royces to rare concept hypercars, are chosen for symbolism, not spectacle. To him, every item must serve the same purpose: presence without noise. He once said, "Luxury is not what you buy, it's how the world behaves when you arrive." And in Monaco, people behave differently when Zeus walks in. His mastery of luxury has reshaped Monaco's elite culture itself. Designers now chase his aesthetic, Collectors mimic his restraint, and even the royals have begun adopting his understated tone. It's no longer about how bright you shine, it's about how effortlessly you make others dim in your presence. But behind this quiet elegance lies a deeper question. What happens when the man who defines luxury begins to redefine power itself? Because while Monaco's elite compete to be seen, Zeus seems to be preparing for something far more strategic and far more lasting. Beside every legend stands a figure who doesn't compete with his power. She reflects it. In Zeus's world, that reflection comes in the form of a woman whose presence is as deliberate as his silence. She's not introduced at galas or splashed across headlines. She simply appears and the room rearranges itself. They call her the Queen Without a Crown. Her story began far from the Mediterranean, yet somehow she fits Monaco like it was made for her. She moves with the same quiet confidence that defines Zeus, elegant, precise, almost untouchable. When she steps out of their black Rolls-Royce at Hôtel de Paris, photographers instinctively lower their flashes. It's not fear, it's reverence. She has mastered the art of being unforgettable without saying a word. Unlike the socialites who chase status, she builds it. Behind closed doors, she manages art foundations, environmental campaigns, and high-profile philanthropic projects that extend Zeus's influence beyond wealth. While he controls Monaco's skyline, she shapes its reputation, turning every gala into a symbol of purpose, every charity into a statement of legacy. Together, they don't flaunt luxury, they define it. Those who've seen them together describe a rare equilibrium. He commands through presence, she through grace. There's no visible hierarchy, no competition. Instead, their connection feels like the two halves of the same empire: power and poetry, vision and reflection. It's why the elite whisper that she's not just Zeus's partner, she's his mirror, the only person who truly understands the rhythm behind his silence. At charity balls, diplomats seek her opinion before they approach him. Journalists try to uncover her background, yet all they find are fragments: a private education, a fluent command of 5 languages, and a network that stretches from Paris to Dubai. The rest remains mystery, and that's exactly how Zeus prefers it. Because in a world obsessed with kings, he found something rarer, a queen who doesn't need a crown to rule. And as their influence grows side by side, Monaco itself begins to wonder, are they building an empire of love, or a dynasty that will quietly outlast them both? Even inside the palace walls, whispers of Zeus's name echo louder than royal titles. At first, Monaco's nobility viewed him as an outsider, a man of fortune, not blood. But as his empire expanded and his influence began shaping the same circles once reserved for the royals, admiration quietly replaced skepticism. Today, even the royal calendar bends slightly around Zeus's events. When he hosts a charity gala, the palace takes note. His foundation dinners attract diplomats, celebrities, and entrepreneurs from every continent, often eclipsing official royal gatherings in both attendance and prestige. Yet Zeus never seeks comparison. His genius lies in diplomacy, blending deference with dominance. He funds the same causes the royals champion: ocean preservation, cultural heritage, education. But where the palace operates with ceremony, Zeus operates with efficiency. He achieves in weeks what committees discuss for months. Behind the scenes, this balance creates an unspoken tension. Royal aides monitor his moves, while elite guests quietly debate which event carries more weight: the prince's reception or Zeus's private soiree overlooking Port Hercule. One symbolizes tradition, the other, transformation. And in a city obsessed with legacy, both matter. Still, there's no open rivalry, only subtle games of influence. At the Monte Carlo Opera, their boxes often face each other, the royal crest on one side, the golden insignia of Zeus's foundation on the other. A silent acknowledgement between two worlds: old nobility and new royalty. Cameras capture polite smiles, but those close enough sense the undertone: mutual respect mixed with quiet competition. It's not hostility, it's evolution. Monaco's monarchy has always adapted to survive, and Zeus represents the next chapter, a form of power the palace can't ignore. His presence forces even royalty to modernize, to meet him halfway between prestige and progress. And as their paths intertwine, a new question arises among the elite. Is Zeus being welcomed into the royal circle, or slowly redefining what it means to be royal in the modern age? For most billionaires, wealth is the finish line. For Zeus, it's only the foundation. His story isn't about accumulation anymore, it's about continuation. When others count their fortunes, he counts the impact of his next move. Monaco has seen countless magnates come and go, but Zeus is building something designed to outlast all of them. A legacy that blends power, purpose, and permanence. Through the Zeus Foundation, he's quietly funding initiatives that redefine what influence means in the 21st century. From marine restoration projects along the Côte d'Azur to mentorship programs that help young innovators launch sustainable startups, Zeus's reach now extends far beyond luxury. His empire no longer serves his name, it serves his vision. Those close to him say he measures success not in zeros, but in decades. In a world obsessed with speed, Zeus plays the long game. He invests in culture, education, and environmental innovation, not for publicity, but for permanence. He often tells his team, "True wealth is when your work keeps growing after you're gone." That belief has turned his empire into an ecosystem, one where every business, every foundation, and every relationship feeds into something larger than himself. Even Monaco's royals, known for their centuries of tradition, are watching with fascination. His philanthropy rivals their national initiatives, and his projects increasingly shape the principality's image abroad. In boardrooms and on balconies, people whisper that Zeus isn't just shaping the present, he's quietly architecting Monaco's future. He doesn't need his name engraved in marble, his legacy is already written in the skyline, the seas, and the lives he's changed. And as the Mediterranean glows beneath the twilight, the thought lingers. Perhaps the most powerful man in Monaco isn't the one who rules it today, but the one designing what it will become tomorrow. Because for Zeus, the goal was never to own Monaco. It was to build something that even time itself would struggle to erase. Every legend begins as a man, but somewhere along the way, Zeus became something more. In Monaco, his name no longer belongs to a single person. It's an idea, a whisper shared between investors, a reference point for ambition, a symbol of mastery in a world that worships perfection. Yet behind the myth stands someone remarkably human, a man driven not by vanity, but by vision. Those who've met Zeus describe a presence that feels paradoxical, calm but commanding, distant yet deeply aware. He listens more than he speaks, and when he does, his words are measured, almost architectural. His office overlooks the harbor, where sunlight glints off the sea like molten glass, and from that quiet height, he plans decades ahead. The empire may bear his fingerprints, but his heart, according to those close to him, remains anchored to simplicity, a love of art, music, and silence. What fascinates people most is how he maintains balance between legend and life. He attends grand events, yet often slips away unnoticed. His network spans continents, but he keeps his inner circle small. For all the grandeur that surrounds him, Zeus is rarely seen seeking attention. It's as if he understands that mystery is not a mask, it's a form of immortality. The myth continues to grow, feeding on curiosity. Every photograph, every rumor, every quiet act of generosity adds another layer to his story. But perhaps the greatest secret of all is that Zeus never set out to become a legend. He simply lived by a principle few understand, that true greatness doesn't shout, it echoes. And as Monaco's night sky glows over the sea, one can't help but wonder, where does the myth end and the man begin? Because for those who've watched his rise, one truth feels undeniable. Even if the crown belongs to the royals, the legacy belongs to Zeus. Zeus's story isn't just about power, it's about transformation. In a world ruled by crowns and titles, he proved that influence can be built from silence, precision, and vision. He turned luxury into language, legacy into architecture, and Monaco into a stage where history meets ambition. Some men chase wealth, others build kingdoms. But Zeus? He built a legacy that may one day outshine them all. As the lights of Monte Carlo fade over the sea, one truth remains. You don't need a throne to rule, only the courage to create something that lasts beyond your lifetime. If this story made you see Monaco in a new light, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Inside the Billionaires, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next untold chapter of Zeus's world. Thank you for watching, for every comment, and for joining this journey inside the lives of those who shape the impossible. The next episode will reveal even more, because in Monaco, every ending is just the beginning of another legend.